Excellent. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. And welcome to our first Advisory Design Review Commission meeting of 2021. I just wanted to check whether or not we have participants. Let's just see our attendees list here. Okay, so we have our applicants in the attendees folder for now. We will be upgrading them when it's time for them to do a small presentation and take questions. So to begin with, I'll just introduce myself, Lisa Pedrini, Manager of Development Services. We do have a couple new members to our ADRC commission, but I believe all of you are quite familiar with the process as you've served on other commissions before. So I'm not going to go through the orientation session. I think we'll just start with the nominations for chair for 2021. So is there anyone who would like to nominate a member to serve as chair for this year?
I'll nominate Christina.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that nomination.
Sounds great. And I guess I could ask, Christina, are you willing to accept the nomination?
I am.
Okay, thank you. So then I think I'll ask all in favor. And it looks like everyone is in favor. So thank you, Christina. And I understand that Nikki Segovia has sent you some chair remarks. Have you received that?
I don't have them yet.
Okay.
I just sent them. I just got them. Okay.
Okay, we're working in real time here.
We are. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to turn things over to you, and when it's time to for the report at hand, you can introduce Mark Orsevskis. Okay. Take it away, Christina.
I'm just opening the chair's notes here.
Okay.
Just give me a second. This is going to give me procedural guidelines, correct? These notes?
You bet. I'm here to interrupt you and help it all flow.
All right. So it's just opening now, but okay, I'm going to call to order. In honor of the Lil'wat, the village of Pemberton acknowledges that we're meeting on the unceded territory of the Lil'wat Nation. This meeting of the Advisory Design Review Commission is being held virtually with all meeting participants attending via electronic communications to adhere to the provincial health officer's orders respecting physical distancing requirements as a measure to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. Commission members will be involved in and participate in the meeting virtually as they would in person. For those members of the public in attendance, please note that this meeting is a live webinar and is being recorded. A recording of the meeting will be available on the village's website following the meeting. Okay, second item is the approval of the agenda. So I will, will we vote?
Yes.
Okay. So the recommendation is that the agenda be approved as presented. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve.
A motion.
Brian and Jason is seconding.
Sure.
And is everyone in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. So all in favor. Third item is adoption of minutes. Now the recommendation is that the minutes, so I'm assuming September 10th, 2020 is not the date of the last meeting.
No, it is.
It is? Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. They haven't been very busy. Okay. So the recommendation is that the minutes of the September 10, 2020 meeting be adopted as presented. Can I get a motion from someone to adopt that? Brian again, and a seconder. Jacaranda.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lisa, just a quick question. Where would there be discussion for that? You were gonna have
discussion of the minutes.
Yeah, like if there was gonna be a conversation around that. Would
Once
we
you've
have-
got, yeah, once you have a motion and a seconder, you could ask, is there any discussion of the minutes? And then hearing none, you could just ask,
Okay.
you could just pass the resolution, I believe.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, so moving right along, should we just jump into the into the item on the agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the item is the major development permit number 090 Tenquille Building, 7454 Prospect Street. The village consulting planner, Mark Barsevskis, will present the report. The commission members will each be offered the opportunity to ask questions of staff. The applicants will be offered the opportunity to speak. Nikki will promote the applicants to panelists. Commission members will each be offered the opportunity to ask questions of the applicants. Once all questions have been addressed, applicants will be demoted from panelists to attendees. Note, this means commission members will no longer be able to see the applicants, but the applicants will be able to hear the meeting. They will no longer be able to speak unless the commission agrees. The commission will discuss the project proposal with each member, offering their thoughts in turn, and with opportunity for each member to speak twice. The commission will formulate their recommendation to council. The following format may be useful. That the Advisory Design Review Committee recommends that council support or not support development permit 090 Tenquille Building, subject to the following recommendations, and those would be listed thereafter. Yeah, so I guess the chair asks for a motion and seconder and then asks all in favor. So am I asking at this
No,
point?
that
if we're
would
moving-
be following
Okay,
the
great.
presentation, questions, when you're at the point of
At that point.
formulating a resolution. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I think we can hand it over to Mark.
Thank you so much. I'll just share my screen here.
Mark, maybe if you could just introduce yourself as well, just take a couple moments.
Sure. Can everyone see the development permit application PDF?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Mark Barshevskis. I'm the consulting planner for the village of Pemberton, and I'll present this application or this DPA for you right now. So DP 090 Tenquille Building, 7454 Prospect Street. So the whole purpose is an introduction of the proposed development and to receive comments from you to give recommendations to council. We're in this process, or we're in this stage right now of the process. We're at the ADRC meeting. The DP application has been submitted and internal external referrals have been sent out. So the subject property is located at 7454 Prospect Street. The lot is approximately 810 square meters. This dashed line is approximately a 400-meter radius from the subject property, which is about a 5-minute walk. So you can see that it's very accessible from the pedestrian point of view to the services and stores in downtown Pemberton. OCP designation would be downtown, and the zone is commercial town center. And that DP area is this downtown revitalization. Directly to the north, we have commercial, but also single family. To the east is single family residential. To the south, we have multifamily residential. And directly west, we have public, which is a public park and the Pemberton Heritage Museum. So currently the site is vacant with preload and lock blocks and some little bit of vegetation around it. So the proposal is for one mixed-use building, which is 3 stories. On the ground floor, we have 2 commercial units. And on the second and third floor, we've got 10 residential units, 7 being 1 bedroom plus a den, and 3 of them being 2 bedroom. The architectural style is modern contemporary. So the color palette includes shades of brown, bronze, gray, and black. We've got wood, light metal, siding, and finished concrete around the building. Corrugated metal on the sides here on the upper 2 floors. And then we've got these vast glass windows on the ground by the commercial units. And then black is used as an accent color throughout the whole building. This is the north and south elevation, which would kind of be the sides of the building. Very similar to the front, minus the glass facade and the pedestrian realm over here. And then we've got the alley elevation, which is east, the front elevation, which is west, back and front. The landscape plan. So for the landscape plan, we've got proposed landscaping of 2 trees right now they'd be red maple. The ground cover is grass, but the applicant has let the village know that they are inclined to switch it if need be. We also have 2 planter boxes along the front with perennials in them. Again, the applicant has let the village know that we can switch them around if need be. Bicycle parking, and then the stair and the accessible walkway. Here's just some perspective drawings of the building. I'd like to kind of show or draw your attention to the surrounding building on the south side. The roof is peaked up here, but the building is in line with the appropriate setbacks and kind of offsetting from the street with this building. The commercial building on the north side is set back. The one that we're not concerned about, but the one that we should be mimicking is the one to the south. And in my eyes, in my view, it's appropriate. As for the zoning bylaw regulation, it does meet everything. So it's meeting, mixed use buildings are permitted in the C1 zone. They're below the maximum floor area ratio, below the permitted maximum lot coverage. The required setbacks, front, rear, and interior all meet the zoning bylaw. The height is at 10.5 meters, which is aligned. Parking spaces, they are required for 18. They're offering 15, but under the zoning bylaw, they have the ability to do cash in lieu for those 3. So that's why there is no variance required for the parking. And for bicycle parking, they are required 4 spots, and they're installing a bicycle rack up front, like I showed. They'll definitely have at least 4 bicycle parking spots. So yeah, the advisory, this could be a potential draft resolution for you. The Advisory Design Review Committee recommends that council support proposed development permit number 90, Tenquille Building, 7454 Prospect Street, subject to the following recommendations that you will come up with. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Should we go around the circle with questions, potentially do a round of questions and then a round of comments? Okay, so do we want to start with Jason?
Oh, yeah. Is this when we're just talking to Mark about this, or are we talking to the builder and the designer? Is that
Are they here?
now?
I don't think they're here.
Yeah, Christina, the applicants are here,
Okay,
but at this point in time, we allow for questions of staff
okay,
before we go to the applicants. And what we'll do is we'll promote their representative as a panelist, and then you'll be able to see and hear from them. So at this time, it's your opportunity for questions of clarification from staff.
and Lisa, will the applicants be doing a presentation as well?
They have the opportunity to do a presentation as well. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, just a few here. Just for parking, it looks like certain amounts are closed in and the other ones are open. Is there a reason for who gets what spots, or how does that kind of work for the parking?
I would have to deal with Strata, but yeah, some of the parking is within the garage and some are outside as well,
Yeah,
for surface parking.
okay, so they would, I guess, pay for the parking in enclosed, and the other ones would not be, I guess, if that's.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah,
potentially, okay.
we could get clarification from the applicants as well for that, Jason.
Sure, okay, and then, yeah, just curious about garage door, I guess, is that's what's separating there, they're gonna have a garage door?
No, it's gonna be, I like the clarification from the applicant, but I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
open, and you just drive right in.
Okay, so that's what I'm kind of getting at is. If it was, secure parking, and yeah, if it's not, then that's kind of what I was trying to clarify there. Okay, that's good for me.
Okay, Brian, do you want to go next?
Yeah, well, we should clarify that garage door because they have the garbage and ski area, so if that's open to anybody to walk in there. Doesn't seem secure.
Right.
in the area. That was one of the things. I also had a question just about how the roof drains. Just wondering, curious how the roof drains. And if it's just drains at all the edges, drip line all the way around, that kind of thing. That was about it overall. It looks good to me. Just a couple little things about the roof.
Mhm. It obviously is a flat roof, so it is gonna hold that snow, but exactly
Yeah.
where it's gonna drain, I do not know.
That'd be nice to know.
Okay, Lisa?
I am curious to know where the snow dump area is. If anyone.
So the snow dump area, they're gonna, with Strata, have the snow removal company come in and remove it as fast as possible. And they're gonna put that into the Strata.
Okay, so it's just being removed from the site. It's not getting
Yeah.
piled in a corner of the property.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I guess I was looking for some clarification on the transition from the covered to uncovered parking, if there was a gate there. But I guess it looks like there is not.
I'm pretty sure there is, but we'll ask the applicant.
Okay.
It's just hard with these renderings.
Yeah, and if there is not a gate, is the whole project fenced at the rear? Like, would there be, like, is any of that parking secure? Is it just open?
No, this is going to be completely open. So
So there's no fence
Yeah,
or
no
anything?
fence.
Okay, all right. Okay, and then I guess I'll wait for the applicants. I have some questions for them.
Okay, and Jacaranda?
Yeah, so I'm unclear. Is Prospect Street part of a bigger development strategy that is going to happen in the future? Or like, because it kind of has always been felt, or maybe kind of like said anecdotally throughout town, that that's the direction that the downtown and enhancement is going to go. Or so I'm just wondering, like, are we going to be looking that some of those older houses or more development, and even that kitty corner that's for sale on the other side there, like that is also, that's zoned so that it could have a similar development? I'm thinking, I'm not totally sure about that. I could be wrong, but I'm just wondering what the greater plan is for that corridor, if there is one.
I can take that question, Christina. So currently this property is zone C1 and it's sandwiched in between Expedition Station and Napa. So
Yeah.
obviously, the zoning is in place for this type of development. To the rear and kitty corner, I guess, the property that is currently for sale, the two lots at the corner of Camus and Frontier Street,
Yeah.
zoned R1 residential.
Okay.
However, there is interest from well, on behalf of the planning department, to see that lot rezoned to allow for continuation of the C1 zone. As like for that corner, and I don't have any ambitions that, you know, we're gonna see that whole area, whereas R1 eventually become C1, but I think if needed, that would be a natural progression or extension of the downtown. But we don't have any plans to like push that along ourselves. It would just really depend on if the properties come up for sale and if there's, you know,
A
applications that come.
developer that buys them up or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we've definitely got some, you know, some longstanding residential uses there. So there would have to be support from them for a successful rezoning, as well as obviously council support. So, but yeah, if an applicant were to come forward with an application to rezone what is known as Betty Mercer's property, staff would be supportive of the change from R1 to C1.
Okay, cool. The other question I had is on the Prospect Street commercial frontage side, there's the preload now. So is there going to be a lift up, or is it like sidewalk, like level entry? How does that look like as far as elevation goes? Like, is that the road?
Road, sidewalk, steps, but then we do have this accessible ramp going up into the commercial units.
Okay, so it is like road level.
Yeah, like this part's road level where the cursor is, but there is going to be a step up to the building. And you can't go in via wheelchair through the front door unless you go up the ramp.
Okay.
So
that-
yeah, in order
go
to meet the FCL, I assume that they would have to step up the ground floor to a level. It's very similar to where Expedition Station is.
Right.
And if you think of that development, there's some landscaping that sits between the sidewalk and what would be like the entrance sidewalk to the storefronts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be level then with where the planters are in front of this new commercial space. Is that what we're thinking? Like it's all going to be all one plane?
I think
one
that
level?
would be great to clarify with the applicants.
Okay.
And just to go back, it does look from the architectural drawing, there is a locked parking garage here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But I would still like to clarify, but
So that's all I was thinking is if that raised planters and then the sidewalk meets, like follows along from Expedition. Just to be nicer on the eyes.
mhm.
That's all. Thank you.
My only question is, I'm just trying to understand because the road shown, and I'm just looking at the landscape plan because it shows it, but I only see, you know, a chunk of curb that sort of starts at the property line and goes up, and then it looks like it's curving. Is that allowing for a drop off or something? Or I don't really understand what's happening with the road there. Does it jet out on purpose? Like, does it already do that? Is that proposed? Do you know what I mean?
Are you talking like this section?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Right. I believe this is for the parking, and that's a parking bay. And then it goes to the normal road.
I see. So it is like a lay-by or some kind
Yeah.
of a drop off or something. Okay,
And then over.
that's my only question. So I think we've gone through the questions. So now we will invite the applicants to speak.
I think Lisa's just promoting them.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone. unexpected question from my son there in the middle of everything. So I am going to promote Andre Anne, who I will just, once she's joined us, I will just confirm that spokesperson for the applicants. Hello. Oh, you're muted.
Hi.
Hi, am I correct? Are you the spokesperson tonight?
Well, we thought that we would all share, especially answering questions.
Okay.
And comments. However, I'm meant to be the one presenting if we are doing a small presentation. But
Okay.
for answers, we all have our expertise, so I feel that. everyone can
Okay.
bring-
All right, I will promote Suzanne and Tom, but I would ask that you only speak one at a time. It could get quite busy to have 3 different applicants joining us tonight. We typically have 1 representative, but we'll let you take it away. And then if, hello, Suzanne. Hello. And then, yeah, if questions come up that other people are better at answering, we can deal with that.
Sounds good.
Oh, and we just had another ADRC meeting member join us. Hello, Julie.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Hi. It's okay. You have missed the presentation by staff of the DP that we're looking at tonight, but we have Andréane from Fitzgerald Building Company to do a presentation for, or a summary, whatever you've got prepared on behalf of the applicants. So go ahead.
Okay, so should I start by presenting or am I answering questions?
Presenting, please.
Okay, sounds good. Well, first of all, hello. So I'm Andréane. I'm lead designer for Fitzgerald. With us, we have Tom Fitzgerald, which is owner, builder and owner, and we have Suzanne, who is working with us as our consultant for our development projects. So the idea behind our Tenquille building is, for us, it's a progression of our development projects. So we started with single family development projects in Tayada, and also building custom homes around town for our clients. But as part of our development projects, it's our natural progression to bring it to a more densified project. So we're now joining the downtown core, and we want to offer more density in housing. We feel that it's, we have been informed that it is a need in our town. So we want to offer a new current condo building. And we try to offer as many units that could be held in our in the area that we have. So we juggled with numbers, but we felt that the 10 condo units, with 10 condo units, we were able to get a nice floor area, nice floor space, and still be very very functional. And again, we tried to have, we would have liked to offer more commercial spaces, but with 2 commercial spaces, we're able to offer the right amount of parking spaces. So it was juggling, it was a bit of a puzzle to juggle all of the needs into this building, but we feel that the solution that we are promoting today is delivering a good amount of condo units that are functional, 2 great commercial spaces, and the right amount of parking spaces. We have worked with, in coordination with professionals. So we have worked with Dennis McGuire as our architect, but also we started from the start, we worked hand in hand with our real estate agent who helped us establish what are the needs for our community, the layouts, people desire as, you know, their taste. And so we're quite proud of the project that we are presenting you today, and of our progression in these types of projects. And as for the design of the building, we realized that Pemberton is it has a more traditional design overall in town. So we wanted to bring a current design, but we want to bring a modern design, but we made an attempt not to be too, I'm going to say a bit, we made an attempt not to be too crazy, not too many lines. We kept it quite simple in our material finish choices, in our lines, simple yet interesting. So we jaggered a little bit the lines. There's some articulation in the lines of the building. We wanted to create some comfortable spaces for the users by adding large balconies for all owners. So every unit has kind of a bigger than average balcony, and you will notice that we kind of create a theme around the balconies. They are all surrounded by wood. The wood is actually James Hardy boards, so they're cement boards, but it has that nice kind of fresh, lighter wood, which is quite pleasing and warm for the users. And in contrast, we've got that dark bronze. A dark finish always goes pretty well with its surroundings because you kind of lose it to the eye. It matches well with its surroundings. So a dark bronze finish, wood, and some wide glazing. So that was our themes. And I won't talk too much about the interiors, but we really worked a lot on the functionality. So really being generous and giving a lot of storage to the condo owners. Often it's a problem. So inside, everyone's got their own wide locker. And even more, we're working on, we've got some empty nooks and spaces in the building, and we will give it back if we can to the owners as storage. And also functionality, we want to give a bike washing station and possibly ski storage. And I think that pretty much sums it up. I don't want to take too much of the time either. I want to leave some time for all the questions. But yeah, altogether, we want to be proud of our project. We are Pemberton residents. We live, we work, our kids go to school here. We know, you end up knowing people in town, and we want to be proud of the project. We want to hand out a quality project, and we're working with the right professionals to do so. So that's it. Oh, yes, that's it.
Andréane, I kind of pinned down all the questions that the members asked. Hello, everybody, I'm Suzanne. Andréane, do you want to go through those questions, or would you like me to itemize those questions?
I could answer the easy one, and then I'll pass it over to you. The easy one for me is the interior parking. So it is a garage door. It's an interior parking, and it is closed with a garage door, which will be open. We still have to find the right garage door, specify the garage door, but it will be open with either a code or a remote control, so it is secured.
And it is an over height door as well.
Yes. But other than that, I did write down I thought that maybe Tom could answer the roof drain question, but Suzanne, I think you would be great to answer the landscaping and the strata questions as well. So you can take over if you would like.
Just because we talked about the garage door, I thought it was maybe appropriate to talk about that. As soon as you walk in, you guys saw that the garbage is actually inside the building. Andréane and Tom really like the idea of keeping it indoors. It's much easier for the users to actually just go into the parkade and deal with the garbage. And of course, as per code, ventilation and so on and so forth will all be addressed for that zone. But Tom and Annie, Andréane also want to do in that area, use that area is much bigger than needed for those garbage bins. So there will be maybe a bicycle tuning station. There could be a bench for tuning your skis, depending on how those bins with formerly Carney's, which is TGL now, what they want to see placed and how easy it will be for them. We've been in contact with them. There's been a communication about the space they need, so there's no issue there. We actually have more space. If we were going to lose a parking space to do the garbage area, they're going to maximize that garbage area to be as friendly, user-friendly, and also bring other amenities to the building, such as the ski bench and so on and so forth. So that's about the garage. So there is no other gate. The garage door will be the main entrance to the underground. Somebody mentioned who's going to be inside, who's going to be outside. It's not uncommon for mixed-use buildings such as that one to actually have indoor, outdoors. I think Orion has the same thing. Even the rental building between the Child Care Center on Arbutus has the same idea as well. And that's for Tom and Andy to decide, through their sales strategy, if some units will have the indoor parkings or the outdoors. Some people that have a larger truck may decide that they want to have the outdoor space because they don't like having their big truck inside the garage. So there will be this will be a decision by the owners of how they will market those parking spaces, if that's clarifying what you were asking. Tom, I'll let you talk about the roof drain, but I can mention that I built with a flat roof last year. And through any roof packages, there's always a way of draining the water. For my roof in particular, we have spouts coming through the soffits, which goes all the way to the ground following the building into spouts or drainage, drain tiles following the building to make sure that the drainage is happening on the roof. This is quite typical. It's all with flat roof systems, and Tom can clarify some more on that, but I'm a little bit familiar with it. My single family residential house has probably 7 spouts around the house to deal with a flat roof. Snow dump, Lisa Ames, you were asking about the snow dump. I talked to the strata management team of Expedition, and I was asking them how they dealt with the snow. And of course, at the moment, they just pushed the snow down the alleyway because there was a bare lot. But there will be a communication. It will be the same strata team that will be basically dealing with the snow removal for the alleyway and the parking at the back. And we see that the only way will have to be that Expedition can no longer just push the snow there. It's going to have to be plowed and removed elsewhere. And that's going to be a negotiation between Expedition Station, that project, and the strata to decide what's the best way of dealing with the snow without having to go and dump it on another parcel, which is what Expeditions is doing at the moment. So we'll definitely deal with that. But the flat roof is really stopping. You've all seen the buildings around town that has very steep roofs, no snow barrier. And basically we have snow from the grocery store to the courthouse building where the snow goes straight on the sidewalk. That building with the snow roof, with the flat roof, will basically keep the snow on the roof. And the pedestrian path in front of the building is actually covered. So pedestrians in that section, commercial, as soon as they go up the ramp or the stairs, will be covered. The landscaping, the reason why we are leaving it to either if the resolution, and of course I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but sometimes I've seen in other ADRC meetings in the past where the ADRC commission will sometimes say, we leave it to the discretion of the planning department to work with us on with your recommendation to see how we can tweak it, because Tom Barrett did our landscaping plan. And of course, with any landscaping contract, we have so many revisions that we can do. But at the moment, we're still dealing with some civil aspect of the project. For example, somebody mentioned the bump out that you see going north of our building. What is that bump out? I think when ISL Engineering did the downtown enhancement plan, that's how they drew the downtown with curves in the sidewalks. And if you've noticed in front of Expedition Station, you have bump outs that are landscape, parking, a bump out, landscape. I do know that the snow removal companies hate those bump out. They do get damaged by the snow plow. It is up to the village engineer to let us know if they want any bump outs, because this is village road, it's not our road. If they want to see a bump out, we will adjust. If we need to move a tree because of the bump out somewhere else, we will adjust. We didn't want to go back and forth with the engineer, with the landscape architect at a quite high cost to just come to this meeting and then be told, let's change the whole landscaping plan. So basically, we're open to changing trees, plants, and also we don't know exactly where the street light and the sidewalk's going to go at the moment. We're waiting on ISL Engineering to comment on that. The reason why is we have to line up the street light down the street. And at the moment, the street light is right in the middle of the sidewalk. So either it has to go in a bump out, or it has to be moved towards the building in the grass area that would be at the front of the planters. And that will change the landscaping. So we didn't want, Christina, you'll know, we could go into 15 revision of the landscaping plan, and we will still have unforeseen things that will need to change, such as the light, the street light, and then we'll tweak it. But if you guys rather see perennials as opposed to saying no grass, we're open to that. If you want to see grass because you think dogs can use it, I think Andy and Tom are open to your suggestions, or you can leave it to the discretion to the planning department, being Lisa, Joanna, to work, and Mark, to work with us on the best design once we finalize street light, bump outs and such, which we have no comments on yet. So that answers what that bump out was. That is towards where Napa is. And we're not going to develop or do any sidewalk improvement in front of Napa. We're stopping exactly where that property ends. So that's for that. Snow dump, landscaping, bump out. I think I've covered my notes at the moment. Tom, do you want to add something about the roof drains?
Yeah, sure. So just a couple of things. The roof drain, so there will be drainage. Either that's like an internal drain somewhere in the center of the building, or it could be, you know, scupper type system, which would probably be on the northeast corner of the building, because that's that ties into the storm, which is actually sitting on that corner of the lot in the laneway. But yeah, pretty simple thing. I mean, it's going to be a drain. Where it's going to go will be decided when we push on and develop the drawings after this phase. So
It's
that's
more of a construction phase design decision, I guess.
Yeah. So that's that. And then the second thing I want to mention, getting back to there was the question about the FCL level on the front of the building for the entrance. If you look on, that's page A6 of the architecturals, which is 27 of the agenda, it's got a section of the building and actually shows as a 2-foot elevation difference from street level and the outside parking in the back to that commercial floor level. So you can see the slope throughout the parkade area to get that 2-foot elevation gain. So it is raised. So there will be steps in the front, like was mentioned, but that takes care of that raised section in the back as well as the ramp in the parkade. That's the only points I want to bring up.
I'm not sure if any, I mean, I'm bringing it up, though nobody did bring it up, but the only change really that was a little bit different than what the zoning is about the loading bay. The reason why the loading bay seemed a bit irrelevant for that property is because the part, if you guys have noticed, those commercial spaces are very small. They are, I would say, there's a 95+% chance that those units will be used as office space. And a truck going into an alleyway at the back, like you guys have seen on Portage Station or other buildings around town, often they will park on the road because if it's not feasible to actually go down the alley, and you don't want to have a loading bay at the frontage of a building, going down this alley for 2 small commercial spaces that are office seemed like a waste of space. Really, it was just a natural progression to say that loading bay seems irrelevant. Let's just make it a regular parking stall. So you guys understand where that came from. It's definitely not a space to put a big liquor store in it where you would have truckloads of cases unloading daily.
So you've answered all the questions that were noted already. So I think it'd be up to the chair now to go around with all the members again to see if there's any other questions. And then I had a question as well. So if you could include me at the end, that would be great.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll start again with Jason.
I'm just looking at if you guys obviously have done like a sun plan, and I'm kind of seeing the front prospect with the big windows there, and I'm kind of just, you guys would probably know more where would that not be the afternoon sun that would be blazing right into all those windows? I'm just curious what you guys are doing some stuff for blinds, if you're kind of modernizing blinds and all that stuff instead of the old junky stuff, you know, with the strings and all that. If you've thought about that yet.
Tom, do you want to answer that, or
if the sun's an issue, then blinds can be installed, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
You do have opposite there, the museum, you've got a whole bunch of tall standing trees.
Okay. Yeah.
So.
And there's a roof over the pathway.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Which would be similar to what you see on the building where Mile 1 is. They have that overhang. And Expedition Station, the building before, also has the same cover at the front. And I don't recall those units having to put, like Expedition Station where the hair salon is and the bakeries were. I don't recall people having special blinds for those windows, and it would be quite similar.
I'm curious if it is coming right in that way, or is the mountain kind of protecting it there a bit, or is it just like, just curious on how much sun they get there.
I've worked there, and it's not like the afternoon sun because of the overhang and because of the trees in the front. It's not really an issue.
The Pemby blazing, no? Okay.
No, the Flower Pot Bakery right on the corner, that gets a little bit in there, but other than that, the whole street, it's pretty dark. Like they don't get, because of that overhang, they don't get any sun, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's good for me, I think. It looks like a great building. It's also too, just Mark McGuire, I guess, too, is a Whistler architect. So yeah, I definitely like to have an architect on board that is in the area instead of, with more to lose, I guess, to have a nice building. So it's great to have a Whistler architect on this job instead of dealing with the city, Vancouver kind of stuff as well.
Okay, Brian?
Yeah, no questions. Overall, really like the building. I think it looks great. Yeah, I think all the other questions have been asked.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Lisa?
I have a couple questions around the commercial spaces. And I noticed one has a bathroom and one has no bathroom, but there's the bathroom in the common area. And the entrances to both the commercial spaces are in the lobby of the building. I was just wondering why you went that route versus having exterior doors in and out of each of the commercial spaces and kind of having them as their own standalone spaces versus them having to, members of the public accessing the commercial spaces having to go into the lobby of the residential building.
Good point. But there's both. So you have a street entrance to the commercial spaces. They're on the far left and right. So,
Okay,
so there
yeah.
are those kind of wood niches at the street level.
yeah,
So you can enter through the commercial space from the street level. But if
Okay.
you would require to enter, if you have a wheelchair, for instance, and you need to use the ramp, then you can enter through the main lobby.
Yeah, and just, I guess, thinking why that's necessary. Like, could you have wheelchair access in the other doors? And because I don't know, I think if I lived in the building, I might be a bit like, oh, we've got all this commercial traffic coming in and out of our lobby. Why?
Yeah, which is why we didn't put those main entrances in the lobby. But there is, I mean, so from
Like,
the
is
commercial,
it necessary?
is it necessary? I think to have that ADA access, universal access, we needed that. It was the most efficient way for us to insert the ramp.
And just to add a little bit, Lisa, you know how it's very difficult sometimes to do a handicap bathroom because of the
Size.
The size of it, because those spaces are really small, and Andy and Tom put some storage area by losing some. So at the back of one of the storage area, the commercial area, there is some storage room. And they were losing a lot of commercial space. And then by putting the bathroom in that space that could accommodate an handicap bathroom, they kept some square footage, because we're talking 42 square meters per commercial space. So it's not big, right? And also, if you think that building, if you think of who the buyers of those units could be, let's say if it's seniors, older people that want to have a walkability, the idea that this is a building that has an elevator in it, which a person with a mobility issue could totally live there, and they could have access to a bathroom right in their lobby as well, which to us, if you think about senior and what services they need, we thought that bathroom could be used for the commercial spaces and also not open to the general public. It's not like you can just.
No, I realize. I just thought there's only 2 commercial tenants, so it's like, okay, that's a lot of bathroom for 2.
Well, the code we
strata units to be paying.
One. I know we tried to go with one, and the building inspector advised us that if it was 2 different tenancy, they weren't allowed to use they needed 2 bathrooms.
Okay.
That has to do with the code, I guess. So we wanted to have just one, but we found out with the code, talking with Chris, that a second one was needed. And I think that putting one in the lobby, even though you think a bathroom, it may not have a bathroom sign on it. It may be just the users that will know what's there. And also a person with mobility issue that lives in the building could have a key for that room as well. So we thought it was a plus to have it there, even though nobody wants to go and wait for the elevator and a bathroom door open next to them. But it would be very specific users that would have access to that one.
And I'd say that the main entrances are really the exterior ones.
The ones on the far right and the far left.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that 99% of the people would enter there. It's really, if you have a mobility issue, you would be offered to enter through the main the lobby. But other than that, people wouldn't really know that there's interior doors.
Okay. I'm good for now. I guess I have a question for it would be more for the village. The alley, does it continue beyond this? So will it eventually be an alley, a back alley for the whole street, all of Prospect and Frontier and all the houses? Like, will it ever continue on?
Well, I can attempt to answer that. So at this point in time, it would be dependent on future development. The village won't proceed with creating a full alley there on its own. But if the properties redevelop, then I could see, it getting pushed further.
Bumped each time something's developed.
further north. But we wouldn't have the funds available to ourselves to go ahead and create that full through alleyway.
Is it possible, Lisa, that there are some services at the back there too? Village infrastructure?
Yeah, the Public Works Department actually does not consider that an alleyway. It's a right of way with the lift station on it, which is why that if you go behind those properties, you can see that it kind of looks like a laneway. It's just for access of the village vehicles to access the lift station that's back there.
Okay.
You done, Lisa? Or-
Yeah, I'm done. Thanks.
Okay. Jacaranda?
Okay, just a couple things. I used to live on Prospect Street, just a couple houses down, and I would disagree. It gets very hot on that street. Granted, building styles are completely different now. So my question is, what energy code is this building being built to? Because that might just take care of that whole problem. We don't have to worry about heat and cold, depending on the energy code that they're going, what you're going for. And then also based on that, this is just sort of a silly side note, but I know that people that live in Expedition go crazy over the noise from Al's shop and the snowmobiles, which also might be taken care of by whatever energy code you guys are building to. But that is just something that neighbors do complain about. But basically, I was just wondering, like, how is the building going to be built as far as the energy code and efficiencies, building assemblies, that kind of thing? We don't have to go into great detail, but are we kind of like leaning towards energy efficiency, passive, not passive? I know you're probably not even going anywhere near that, but like, are you going in that direction, or are we kind of, where are we landing in that?
All right, I'll take that one. So there's going to be step code 4 building.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Step code 4.
Code 4. Okay, let's take care of most of that problem then.
The first floor will be ICF, and then it'll be wood framed above at this point in time. So probably some outsulation comfort board on the 2 upper residential floors. So yeah, it'll be a pretty good building and perform a lot better for energy and sound transmission than the current building. Yeah.
Yeah, what
Tom, you want to mention your
size would the walls be? Sorry.
Pardon?
How thick would the walls be? Are you guys going 2x8s, or are you?
No, it'll just be, yeah, I don't have the energy model back yet for the building. That's sort of the next phase here, but you know, we're planning on a typical 2x6 framed wall. So it's going to be,
and then the outsulation outside for,
yeah, it's at 2 or 3 inches. I don't know what's the window.
You guys are asking a lot of construction questions.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Construction people can't help it.
It's forming character right now.
It's the only thing I think about. I don't know.
One at a time, please. Can we just wait our turn? If you, Christina, will do another round if you have more questions.
Yeah. I was going to say that maybe we should all be muted in between as well, so we don't hear background noise.
Thank you.
Is that good, Jacaranda?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Julie. Hi, Julie. You're up.
No, I think most things were answered from what I heard. The one thing is elevators. I had a friend that lives the one, I don't even know what it's called, above, anyway, with any place that has an elevator, it just seems to be the strata, it just seems to end up being a huge issue and a service issue. And especially with the whole COVID thing, I just, like, I know you're probably not there yet, but when it comes to a lot of the stratas that have elevators, the strata fees are quite high. And I'm just like, is it really necessary to have an elevator in a 2-story, you know, like, I'm just like, is this, you know, like, I know you were saying, you know, if they're thinking about more senior living and whatnot, I don't know. I just think there seemed to be more of a hassle than anything, and it ends up costing, it just ends up costing a lot for the upkeep and maintenance of elevators. So I just don't know if don't know if anyone's thought about, is it really necessary to have an elevator? I mean, how is everybody feeling about that?
I can answer that one. It was a bit of our initial thoughts as well. I was a bit agreeing with you, and the architect brought it up, and I was like, really? Is it necessary? But Tom and I have lived in a third story before, a bit like this building. We were on the third floor, having to walk up and down the stairs. We did it. We were young and, 20 years old, no problem going up and down the stairs. But it's hard bringing all your groceries and your bike, and you end up damaging walls around you. And we were convinced by our architect that by building a modern building nowadays, and being considerate of not just elderly, but people that have mobility issues, it is if you're building in 2021, it's a good idea to have the elevator. People expect it a little bit now. It goes in the strata fees, and it just makes life easier for carrying all the gear. And we know that Pemberton people have gear. It's just, providing, honestly, it wasn't our first choice, but it's providing for the wider audience. It's providing for the wider spectrum of owners that can be interested in the building, because it's not just, it can be first-time owners, but we were told by our real estate agent, and we have verified that fact as well with our real estate agent, and she is pro elevator as well. It might also be there will be a big interest by like the aging population, people that want to retire, that want to be closer to the downtown core, and for those people the elevator will be very interesting. So yeah, that's why we brought it in, and we kept it. So.
Good, that's it.
That's it. I think it's nice. People can take the stairs. There's many stairs options, but if you've got a lot of things, if you're moving, for instance, you're moving your furniture, makes life easier.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Lisa, did you want to ask your question? Lisa Padrino?
It's actually been asked by Lisa Ames. I had the same question with respect to just some privacy issues, I guess, the internal entrance.
Okay.
But I'm assuming those storefronts could lock off those internal doors and only open them if, someone had to access that was mobility challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my questions, I'm coming at this, primarily from a landscape perspective. And I understand, Suzanne, what you were suggesting about how, the plans can change over time, and that, you're hoping that staff could just work with this. And I agree to you to some degree, but I have questions about, is there an overall plan on Prospect? And you mentioned a plan by ISL, for example, that I'm assuming there was some kind of a streetscape guideline that was prepared in that document. Were there recommendations in there about what the frontages of future developments should look like and how it could all tie in, or not? No. Okay.
No.
Is there some kind of a proposal for what the raised planters look like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The plan, Mark, did you include the landscape plan other than just the site plan? Is there a plant list on that too?
There's a plant list, but I'm talking about the actual materials, like what the planter is made of. It says concrete, but are we looking at a brushed concrete or a polished concrete, or is there anything else on the property that this is sort of tying into or augmenting or anything like that?
Tom, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, what we're looking at here, what's that, 8 planters, there you go.
Yeah.
Finished concrete.
Yeah,
So it'd be like a paper face form ply.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And that would tie in, if you look on the sides of the building, right there, that's a hardy panel.
yeah,
That's a smooth hardy panel right there. So, it kind
Okay.
of ties in with that.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, it looks like there's a sidewalk. And I'm just curious, is this like a traditional sidewalk that would be concrete with expansion joints, or is it, again, is this something that would then have to tie into any other developments up and down the street?
Right. It's tying in with exactly what Expedition Station has done up to the end of their property line. And again, ISL will give us, we do have a civil engineer that is doing all the drawings for that. It's Creus Engineering.
Okay.
And we will be following exactly what ISL wants to see as far as it's going to meet the MMCD construction documents, right? To make sure that that sidewalk from Expedition Station continues in front of this development, and eventually one day probably in front of where Napa is once that property is redeveloped. It has to be following all of the MMCD documents, right, which is the municipal construction standards.
Yeah, I'm familiar with those. They and I'm not really asking so much about the construction, but more the form and character of this sidewalk. If it is intended to be anything different from anywhere else, and if there are any sort of guidelines for future development along this sidewalk, because sometimes that's how you can differentiate a certain, neighborhood or commercial sector or something from another one. So it doesn't sound like there's anything like this. And maybe this is more of a question for planning. Maybe I should have asked that question prior.
I think, Lisa, tell me if I'm wrong, but once we do get a DP that is issued with the comments from ISL, it's going to give us what they want to see, what kind of construction standards they want to see, not just construction, but also what material and finishes and so on. Is that what you're referring to, Christina?
I'm talking more about streetscape guidelines. That's more of what I'm talking about.
Well, the streetscape guidelines are included in the development permit guidelines. We don't have anything separate from that, but we do have our subdivision and is it land control bylaw with respect to, grades and I'm not sure about finishes, but yeah, I think, I'm sorry, I can't answer your question with like 100% certainty, but I believe we will get some direction from our engineering review.
Okay, but I'm not really talking about an engineering review, so maybe I'm not really articulating myself. I just want to make sure that you don't paint yourself into a corner in terms of the way it looks. And if you wanted to tie in, for example, a streetscape vernacular in the future, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's all.
Okay, well, it would be, preferred, I would assume preferred that the sidewalk lines up with what's in front of Expedition Station, and that the material and spacing or whatever you want to say is exactly the same.
Okay.
And that would be the municipal standard for the downtown.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I was sort of curious about, because I wasn't sure if there was something different.
I'm trying to think of how it ends.
Well, right now it just butts off with a gentle slope, I guess. It goes from concrete with the I don't know how else to explain, but saying cracks, which is the expansion joints, and then eventually it tapers off with just soil at the moment, right?
Yeah,
right.
There's like an apron.
It's not like the paving stones. You have the new sidewalks that were done in the downtown where, let's see, with paving stones. The sidewalk in front of Expedition is just the standard concrete with lines in it.
Right.
And I guess it remains, a question as to whether or not the bump outs will be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't know what the village wants to see there. So.
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, depending on where the light standards need to go, there might be a bump out required.
Right.
Yeah, we will, that will be determined. We haven't actually received our engineering comments yet, even though we had asked they be submitted by this deadline, and it's pretty typical that we, our engineering consultant's very busy, so we will be chasing those comments soon and have those for staff's review.
Okay, and so that's good for me in terms of questions. So yes,
Yeah, so at this point, Christina, you might want to, you could go around a second time to the ADRC members if they had any more questions, and then afterward, once there's no more questions of the applicants, we will demote them back to panelists, attendees, and then you guys can feel free to discuss amongst yourselves.
okay, so maybe why don't I just ask if anyone does have any further questions? Looks like Lisa does. You're muted, Lisa.
Question, is the building wood frame or concrete? And has the fire department looked at this? Because where would a fire truck be coming in this back alley? And like, how would a fire truck access if they needed to? Yeah, so a two-part question.
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Lisa Pedrini, you may want to confirm that with me, but if my understanding is any 3-story building can be addressed for fire protection by the street. The only time where I've seen the fire department being concerned with the height of a building is when the building gets higher than 3-story high. I don't believe that the fire truck would want to go in the alleyway, though it is possible. I think the width is there. However, I think that they can address the site. That site, if you think of the size of the site, it's not that much bigger than a single family residential lot. And the building in height is also the 10.5 meters or 34 feet, which is the standard height of a single family dwelling. So I believe that the front of the street will address the fire protection issues.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any further questions?
I could just offer that it is a mixed use building, so they would need fire suppression as part of the design. As well, we do refer the application to our fire chief.
So there's sprinkler, but I didn't get an answer on if it's concrete or wood frame.
Oh, I'll let Tom, I suppose, answer
Yeah,
that.
sure. So it's the 2 top floors are going to be wood framed, with the bottom floor concrete.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have one, maybe this was answered before. Is there going to be like a pull-out parking in front of this building, just like they have at Expedition Station? You know how they have, like, you can park cars in front of the building at Expedition Station? Is this going to be the same? That you can park cars, like, is there any parking at the front of the building along the street?
I can answer that one for you, Julie. So yeah, the street belongs to the village.
Yeah.
And just as provided in front of Expedition, the village would have street parking, but that doesn't count towards the required off-street parking that the applicants must provide. I think you might have missed the very beginning of the presentation. Mark let the ADRC know that 3 of the required spaces for the commercial areas will be paid for in cash in lieu rather than providing them. And as well, the applicants are seeking a variance for the 1 loading space that's required.
Right, okay.
So the variance has to be approved by council when they approve the development permit. And because our bylaw allows for cash in lieu, the 3 spaces aren't considered parking variance. They are outright permitted by our zoning bylaw.
Yeah, I don't understand this whole cash in lieu thing. That's a whole other ball of whatever. I guess I don't understand that part at all, but I don't need to. I just wanted to see if it was going to look similar to the same kind of frontage as Expedition if there is some parking, because we need parking in in Pemberton. So.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
Julie, there's actually, for that development, this new development, there's actually more parking than what Expedition is providing at the moment. That's all I can say.
Good.
There is
We need more parking.
There is actually dedicated commercial spaces where Expedition Station, they were meant to be live work units where people park, but the reality is people are parking on the road and on that building too. I mean, it's the path of least resistance is people will park in front of the building, but there will be dedicated commercial space parking as well, which Expedition doesn't have. So it's that project is covering that for sure.
Perfect.
And just so everyone knows, the parking outside of Expedition Station right now is 2-hour parking. So, which means that residents of the building aren't meant to park there, throughout the day. That we do give a bit of latitude for parking to occur overnight because, obviously those spaces aren't being used by commercial businesses, but it is designated 2-hour parking. I can't remember what time that starts, probably 8 or 9 a.m. But anyways, yeah.
Oh, who knew?
How many of the parking stalls are dedicated to the commercial out of the 15?
Oh,
4. So it's 11 for the residential, 4 for the commercial.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have any time.
Okay, any more questions for the applicants? Seeing none.
Speak now, because of Forever Hold Your Peace, because we will be
Just to
moving on
clarify
to discussion.
Just to clarify, for the commercial spaces, for 84 square meters, the requirement was 3 dedicated parking spaces. So it's 3.
So those are the actual spaces that will be payment in lieu of, because we don't allow payment in lieu of for residential spaces.
No.
That's not clear in our bylaw at this point, but I can advise that we will be doing a zoning amendment to make that more clear in our zoning bylaw. Does that make sense, Suzanne?
Yes, it does. I wasn't aware of that, Lisa.
Yeah. We will be clarifying that. You know what it's like. We discover these things are missing, and then we try to do our best to make amendments so everything's clear. Okay, thank you so much, applicants. I'm going to say au revoir, but you are still able to listen, but we will just sorry, it sounds so rude, but demoting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It'll take me a second here. How do I do this again? Oh, goodness. Nikki, if you're able to do this quicker than I am.
I think we can stop our video from our end too.
No, don't do that, because
then you won't be able to hear.
Yeah. Are you taking over from me, Nikki Segovia?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to find the people to demote.
It's Andrea, Tom, and
Yeah.
Susan. Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye for now. You're still there.
Okay, they are all attendees now.
Okay. All right. So as mentioned, now would be your opportunity to discuss the merits of the application. And if we could just remind you that we should be basing our comments and questions on the form and character of the building with respect to the form and character guidelines contained in our OCP. And I know we always get a bit excited to ask all sorts of questions when we see developments, especially in our downtown. But your role is to be basically commenting on whether you feel this design, the proposed design, meets the intents of the form and character guidelines in our official community plan for the downtown revitalization DP area.
Okay, should we start with Jason again?
Sure. Yeah, no, I've got no more questions. I think it's a really nice addition to the downtown core. Yeah, I really like the kind of modern look, the modern materials. I really like that they're not using just the hardy board kind of barn kind of look. Just bringing modernism into the town core is a great addition.
Okay, Brian?
I agree with Jason there. I feel it meets all the guidelines. I'm for it.
Okay, Lisa?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good looking building and meets the guidelines.
Jacaranda?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent development proposal. Thumbs up for me. I think it's great.
Julie?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, it's nice. Yeah, it fits everything and it's going to be a little bit different and it's nice to have some modern look into the downtown core. I think it'll be a bit of a game changer. So I think it's going to, hopefully, yeah, I think it's going to be really nice. I like it.
I feel the same. I think it's a really nice addition. I love the colors. I love the color scheme and the use of concrete. And I think it's simple and elegant, and I think that'll look really nice in that area. And I think it'd be easy to build around it too, which I think is key when it's one of the first developments. The only thing I might suggest is that where there's grass proposed, that maybe a combination of grass and bee grass or something that maybe that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. I don't know, in those small little pieces that maybe grass might be too much trouble. That would be the only comment I would make.
Sorry, Christina, did you say bee grass? What did you say?
Bee grass.
So that taller grasses?
Yeah, no, those are like grasses that you mow and but they don't grow very high, and they have they're like a mix of a number of grasses, different types of grass. I don't have them off the top of my head, but if you Google it, it's bee as in bees, like BEE, turf lawn blends, and they're sometimes just a little more interesting. They're very hardy. They, attract pollinators. So it's just another alternative. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think we'd be getting into, now it's going to look different because town added all the new little grassy areas in front of the expedition station. Just introducing a new different type is just kind of, you start not matching. I mean, I like the idea. I do. I think that all of a sudden then things you've got one area doesn't look the same as the rest of it, and maybe it's a bit
which would go with the architecture, because it doesn't match everything either. So that's up to council, I think, and the planners can work with that. That's just a recommendation. Okay, so should we make a resolution? So the resolution would read that the advisory design review committee recommends that council support development permit 090 Tenquille building, subject to the following recommendations, if there are any. Do we have any that we want to add into the resolution? I didn't hear any. We can just support it without recommendations. Does that sound good? Anyone?
I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Christina, you would need someone to move that resolution because you as the chair shouldn't.
Yes. So can I get someone to move? Brian, and second?
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Brenda?
And just
And are we all in favor?
just a quick point of clarification. It should read Advisory Design Review Commission, not committee.
Okay. Is everyone in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. passed.
Great.
Okay, so next meeting. Lisa, do you have anything on the agenda?
At this point, I do not, but in terms of keeping your time organized, I would like the commission to determine a good schedule moving forward. Are you okay with, what are we at? Are we at the second or, goodness, what are we, the second Wednesday of the Thursday of the month? Sorry. Like, it just would be really nice if you could decide as a commission to keep the second Wednesday of the month, for example, open in case we do have the need for an ADRC meeting.
Sure.
Okay, that works.
I can do
for
that.
me.
Yeah,
I can do
nothing
that.
else to do.
Everybody- Okay. Do we need to make a
Tell us
resolution
a
on that,
thing.
or can we all just agree?
That, yeah, no resolution yet necessary.
Okay,
So if a meeting was needed, then the next meeting would be May. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but the second Wednesday of May.
which is the 5th. Did you say the 3rd though? The
Well, I
3rd
don't know.
Wednesday,
I
right?
can't remember where we're at right now.
Okay.
What's the date today?
We're on the 3rd. We're on the 3rd Wednesday right now. It's the 15th.
Okay, thank you.
And then
Sorry.
the 3rd Wednesday of May would be the 12th.
Okay, so can we, so was there agreement for the third Wednesday of the month? Sounds good,
I
yeah,
see
okay.
everyone nodding, so I think
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we don't all have very busy social schedules right now during the pandemic. But things could change, hopefully.
Let's hope.
Not for a few months though.
And
Okay.
we're scheduling these at 5 p.m. typically.
Well, if the commission would prefer a later time, 5:30, we could go 6. It's completely what works best for you as commission members. So you tell me.
I would
5
say
is hard for
not
me to-
later.
5 is hard though for me. I feel bad when I'm coming in and I miss stuff. Like 5:30 would be give us a little bit more leeway because, not all of us are working from home. So it does make it, like it's kind of like that 5 o'clock. It's just, it's very difficult for me. That's just me personally. I would have loved that extra half an hour because I was still late anyway, and I couldn't help it. So
Sure. So is there agreement to move it to
I'm fine with that.
5:30?
Yeah,
I'm
5:30
fine with
works for me.
that.
Mhm.
Well,
Yes.
you guys are just such an agreeable bunch. Thank you so much. This is great. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
everybody.
are we, I need a
Great.
motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Ryan?
Yep.
And I
Second.
don't think do I need a second? Okay, Lisa's gonna second that. Any discussion or argument about that? No, seeing none. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, everyone.
thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.